What's up guys, Toasty here, Gibber, and today I'm bringing you the second part of Then and Now Sonic the Hedgehog. Last time we left off with a very loved game of the series, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which I said in the last Then and Now video was known as the perfect Sonic game to most fans. Before we start, just make sure to tell me what you guys thought of this part. Now let's get started. Next up, after Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, we have Sonic the Hedgehog Triple Trouble for the Sega Game Gear. This game was also known as a sequel to Sonic Chaos, which we discussed in the last part. In this game's story, Dr. Robotnik manages to obtain all the Chaos Emeralds, but then he accidentally scatters them all across the island with his new ultimate weapon called the Atomic Destroyer. While Sonic and Tails are on the island looking for the Chaos Emeralds, Dr. Robotnik tricks Knuckles into thinking that Sonic and Tails are trying to steal the emeralds, so of course Knuckles tries to stop them from obtaining them. Remarkably similar to Sonic 3's story, huh? The small difference is that there is a new antagonist called Knack the Weasel, who is a treasure hunter that tries to take the Chaos Emeralds while everyone is distracted, not to use their power, but to sell them for a massive amount of money. A fun little fact about this game is that it's the first Sonic game where the player does not lose all of their rings after they get hurt. They lose a certain amount of rings every time they get hit. Touching spikes will affect 50 rings, any other type will take away 30 rings. In this game, you can either play as Sonic or Tails. Sonic's special ability is the Super Peel Out, which was also in Sonic CD in 1993, and Tails, of course, can fly with his two tails. This is also the first Sonic game to feature spring maneuvers. After bouncing off a spring, and the character is usually vulnerable, Sonic and Tails can now use the Flying Spin attack, allowing the character to roll into a ball for a brief moment to defend themselves. The maneuver is essential in some parts of the game, such as the first boss battle. Tails can alternatively begin flight, but he cannot fly upwards. The gameplay idea would not appear in the series again until Amy Rose was playable in Sonic Advance with her hammer swing. This game, in the eyes of the fans, was not too good, but not too bad either. So in short, the game was okay. Next up we have... Oh god, no. No. I refuse. No. I refuse. I don't want to do this. No. Even though I don't want to do this one, I got it anyway. Alright then, Sonic Drift 2 for the Sega Game Gear and the Sega Master System. But only Brazil got it on the Master System. Don't ask me why, I don't know. Anyways, in Sonic Drift 2, or Sonic Drift Racing in Europe, you have Sonic, Tails, Amy, Eggman, Knuckles, Metal Sonic, and Fang the Sniper, or you may know him as Knack the Weasel from Sonic the Hedgehog Triple Trouble. This is what the story is like in the game. Chaos Emeralds are awarded for winning races. If Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and Fang collect all 6 in the blue GP, they will face Eggman in a final race around the Death Egg. If Eggman and Metal Sonic collect all 6 in the blue GP, they will face Sonic in the final race. That's it. Yep, that's fucking it. Yeah, that's it. Basically, this is the same song and dance as the first one in terms of ratings. It was mostly hated by everybody. This game is seen as a wannabe Mario Kart clone. The next game on our list is Knuckles Chaotix for the Sega 32X. Okay, to avoid people asking what the Sega 32X was, the Sega 32X was an add-on for the Sega Genesis console, which was meant to increase the Genesis lifespan to keep up with Super Nintendo. Before I explain the story, let me introduce new characters to you. We have Vector the Crocodile, Charmy the Bee, Mighty the Armadillo, and Espio the Chameleon. Okay, you probably recognize some of these guys from Sonic Heroes or Sonic Generations, except for Mighty, you know, because he's just there. He was there for one game, and then he was there for an arcade game, like in 1990, I don't give a fuck, but he was also in nothing. He was just in that arcade game with that yellow guy who I don't even care about. Anyways, yeah, that was all that Mighty had to write. He was gone after that. Also, before you think you can use all these characters at once, only 2 characters can be used or controlled by the 1 or 2 players playing the game. These players are connected by a tether so they don't get separated, so no leaving Tails behind like you usually do. Except he's not in this game. Alright, so the story of Knuckles Chaotix varies between the North American and Japanese versions, and since I want to be as informative as possible, I'm going to say both. In the English version, Knuckles is guarding a high-tech amusement park called Carnival Island. Robotnik is up to no good again, and he travels there to steal the Master Emerald, which is supplying energy to the whole island. That same song and dance. Knuckles tries to stop Robotnik, and he also stops Espio from being captured and works together with Espio to try and save all the others and save Carnival Island before the grand opening, which is supposed to happen the next day. Okay, the Japanese version is kind of a little bit more convoluted and a little bit more tough to understand, so if you don't understand it completely, you're not alone. In the Japanese version, a mysterious island rose from the sea shortly after the events of Sonic and Knuckles. Dr. Robotnik discovered the island and found a mysterious ring with descriptions of Chaos Rings, ancient rings infused with Chaos Emerald energy. Robotnik theorizes that he can not only discover the secret of the rings, but also summon the Master Emerald. In order to find these rings, Robotnik must build his base on the island. Mighty the Armadillo, SBO the Chameleon, Vector the Crocodile, and Charmy the Bee also arrived on the island and ended up being captured by Robotnik and Metal Sonic and frozen in Robotnik's machine. Knuckles, who's curious about the strange island, goes there as well and manages to rescue SBO. The two then go on to stop Robotnik from getting the Chaos Rings. The gameplay is incredibly different than the past two Sonic games, and the only real main difference is that the extra lives aren't attainable in the game. The characters are being connected, and all the Batniks and bosses in the game don't drop gray rings instead of animals like the other games. Gray rings, which cannot be collected, will disappear almost immediately. Knuckles Chaotix received mixed reviews. People thought it wasn't too great or too bad. They thought it was okay, but not terrible or great. Now we have a few spin-off games to go through. Yes, more spin-offs. I know, right? It's annoying. First of these is called Tails Sky Patrol. Okay, Sky Patrol is not one word, guys. You gotta get your stuff together. I know it's a spin-off game and you don't have to care, but at least make the title grammatically correct, please. Please. Anyways, the story is so short, so I'll just explain it quickly. While flying his plane, Tails discovers a small island and lands to investigate. This game is actually a prequel to the Sonic series, following Tails is trying to save this little island here. While the island appears to be uninhabited, he eventually comes across an old woman. She declares herself to be the great Wendy Witchcart and claims everything on the island and the island itself as her own, threatening to transform any descendants into crystal. She then heads off with her henchmen, and Tails, determined to stop her, chases after them. The gameplay of Tails Sky Patrol is less like the style of traditional Sonic games. There are no rings to be collected or emeralds. Dr. Robotnik is entirely absent, and Tails is constantly suspended in flight mode when the flight meter runs out. Well, at least this game has a flight meter. I mean, why didn't they have that in the other games? That would have actually been pretty good, instead of him just dropping randomly. Across each stage, Tails carries golden ring with him that he could throw as a projectile to defeat enemies or break walls. Using the ring, he will also latch on to any number of devices that the player can encounter in each stage, ranging from gymnastics bars to rail carts. This game didn't do too well with critics, like other spin-off games. Known to be not too bad, but not too good either, and actually a little bit mediocre on the side. Next up in the spin-offs, we have Tails Adventure for the Sega Game Gear. Okay, why are you so invigorated on Tails? Why do you care so much about this guy? I mean, he's a side character, yes, but why not any ones based on Knuckles? Oh wait, Knuckles Chaotix. Never mind. Well, why is that not a spin-off? It really doesn't count having Sonic or anyone else besides Eggman. Funny was made before 1998 Sonic Adventure. Anyways, this game, like Knuckles Chaotix, had two different storylines for Japan and North America. And, you know, this is going to kind of be a long one, so you gotta buckle up. In the Japanese version, the story starts off on a sunny afternoon on Coco Island. I don't know where that place is either, guys. Just go with it. Tails the Fox is taking a nap outside his research lab. Yeah, anyone else forget this guy was a genius? I did. I forgot this dude was a genius a long time ago. I just thought he was a fox that could fly. Anyways, his slumber is interrupted by a huge explosion. Before he could say stop, drop, and roll, the whole place is ablaze. Flicky reports the bad news to confuse Tails. The Imperial Battle Cuckoo Army has invaded Coco Island. The dictator of the Coco Island has discovered that the Chaos Emeralds are on the island and intends to use them to conquer the entire world. Tails is the only one that can put a stop to the Imperial Army. The American version has a lot of a simpler story. In this one, Sonic and Tails are the best of friends, but after the previous adventure, the two decide to separate for a while. They got some marital problems. They got to go to a counselor. Anyways, Tails comes across the island while going solo and decides to spend the holiday there for a while, dubbing the island as Tails Island. Very original. He's resting peacefully when he is awoken by a huge explosion. A Flicky reports to Tails that the army of birds has invaded the island. And before anyone asks, a Flicky is a flightless bird from the game Flicky that Sega released in arcades and the Sega Genesis. I just thought that someone would ask that. Anyway, Tails Adventures was a side-scrolling platformer like old Sonic games, but was puzzle-based. It was more of a side-scrolling RPG. The real difference of this game was the remote robot. The remote robot is a tiny all-terrain robot modeled on Tails that can squeeze him through a lot of places that he usually couldn't go through. This game was not played a lot, and it really wasn't critiqued a lot because of that, but the people who did like it or didn't like it, because they fucking hated it. This game was really hated. surprising because this is the first time they probably tried to put an RPG element into a Sonic game and people just didn't like it. They just hated it. And I guess it also could be because a lot of people don't like Tails. A lot of people don't like Tails in the Sonic community. Anyway, for the last spinoff of 1995, Sonic Labyrinth. No. Oh, no. I refuse to talk about this game. Nope. I didn't want to do Sonic Drift 2, but this is where I crossed the line. No, I refuse. No, I'm putting down the headset. No, I refuse. No.
2,000 years later.
Sonic Labyrinth for the Sega Game Gear. Ugh. This game has no story. Just Sonic trying to stop Robotnik. And that's it. No backstory. No setup. No, nothing. That's it. Anyways, in this game, the player controls Sonic by moving around a pinball-like arena, using the power to roll like a ball to defeat badniks and pick up keys in order to exit through the gold door and clear the stage. Then why not just make it like Sonic Spinball? You know, no, we gotta make it so you can run around because people just hated Sonic Spinball. Oh wait, but this game was worse than Sonic Spinball. People hated it even worse. Anyways, not surprisingly, the game was hated by a lot of critics and many Sonic fans, and now is known as one of the worst Sonic games ever made. Alright, back to the regular games. Next up is Sonic Blast for the Sega Game Gear. I can't find the story anywhere, so I'll assume that it has no story because I didn't play this game. Basically, this game, you collect 5 Chaos Emeralds. There are 7 of them. You can play as either Sonic or Knuckles in this game, and this game is basically the same as the 8-bit Sonic games, but with pre-rendered graphics. Yeah. Get up with the program, yeah. People didn't hate this game. It was good in many eyes, but the flaws that the characters took up too much space on the screen and that it wasn't fast like the other 8-bit Sonic games were before. The game got mixed reviews, so not too bad and not too good either. Next up, we have another hated game in the Sonic series, Sonic 3D Blast for the Sega Saturn and the Sega Genesis. Yeah, the Saturn, that thing. The thing that people didn't like. Nobody liked that thing. That thing in the Sega CD. The only thing that was good about the Sega CD was Sonic CD, and that was it. I can't really say that because I really didn't own a Sega CD that much. Anyways, I have to take attention to this display of this game. This game has some isometric 2D view, kind of, with 3D graphics. I don't know, you gotta look at it to actually understand what I mean. In the game, Dr. Robotnik discovers that mysterious bird called Flickies that live on an island in an alternate dimension. Okay, what is up with the Flickies? I get it, Sega. You have another game that's for Flickies. Please move on. I don't care about Flickies anymore. He learns that they can travel everywhere using large rings, so he decides to exploit them by turning them into large robots to help him search for the Chaos Emeralds. Sonic must find and destroy these robots located around the zones and bring the Flickies into the large rings. You see, now this thing here, this got repetitive really fast for all of the people who played this game, and there were a lot of complaints. Just like those other Sonic games, in every stage, there are 3 acts. 2 acts, then you fight Robotnik. The game received many negative reviews and is just like Sonic Labyrinth in many fans' eyes. This game belongs on the Sonic Hall of Shame. Good job. You got on the Hall of Shame. You know, you don't go on the Hall of Fame with the other ones. That you go on the Hall of Shame right there with Sonic Labyrinth, Sonic Drift, and all the other bad ones. You see what you did to people? You made it. You hurt people, man. God, I hate that game. For the last game of this part, we have Sonic R for the Sega Saturn and PC. This game was a Sonic racing game. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Sonic racing game. This game had 10 playable characters, which, even though it doesn't seem like a lot when you hear it, I mean, think about how many Sonic Drift had. Yeah, I kind of don't really hate it that much anymore. Every character in this game had a special ability, and it had customizable weather such as rain and snow, which is a nice touch. The game was not liked by critics and other Sonic fans because the limited replayability, and it loses its appeal very quickly, which is pretty much the same thing. This game is known as a Mario Kart 64 clone, which led to people calling it a Mario Kart ripoff. The game wasn't really good, but it's sometimes, some people might like it, but it gets boring fast. So it really depends on what your actual taste is. If you look at the game and you think, oh, this might be fun, and you play it and you like it, that's great. But some people just didn't like it. It really just didn't bring everything that it needed to the table. But you know, I can give it one thing: it's the best Sonic racing game to ever come out so far. Well, so far in this era, I guess. There are some other Sonic racing games that I will get to later, but you know, yeah, I could just say it's the best Sonic racing game to that date. Alright guys, thanks for watching Sonic the Hedgehog's part 2 of Then and Now. Tell me what you guys thought of this part, and tell me what you thought of the games in the comments. Thanks guys, and Merry Late Christmas. I don't know when this is going up, but yeah. Merry late Christmas, guys. See you in the next video, and thank you for watching Then and Now.